welcome to the Divine Nexus Comics YouTube channel. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and enjoy the video.
This is the story of Harry Potter: Blood of the Founders. The cold, sterile tiles of the Department of Mysteries offered little comfort to Harry Potter as he strode through the shifting corridors. The leather pouch at his belt felt unnaturally heavy, containing the deactivated silver serpent he had retrieved from the submerged catacombs. He had come to deliver the artifact to the Unspeakables. For secure containment, a routine procedure that normally brought him peace of mind. Yet the air in the deep subterranean levels of the Ministry felt thick and charged with an unnatural static. The glowing blue orbs lining the walls flickered as he passed, casting long, erratic shadows that seemed to dance just out of his peripheral vision. He reached the heavy, runic engraved doors of the artifact vault, where the head unspeakable, a figure shrouded in the customary gray robes of the department, stood waiting in silence. Harry's grip on his wand tightened instinctively. The magical resonance in the room was wrong, devoid of the sterile, ordered hum of Ministry wards. The silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken tension, as the gray-robed figure slowly extended a gloved hand to receive the pouch. Instead of taking the pouch, the hooded figure reached up and pulled back the gray cowl, revealing a face that made Harry's blood run cold. It was Lord Vesper, a rogue archivist who had vanished during the post-war reconstruction, now horribly altered. The left side of Vesper's face was a horrific amalgamation of flesh and cold, jagged metal plating etched with glowing red runes. A twisted, cruel smile curled across his remaining human lips as he flicked his wrist, summoning the silver serpent directly through the leather of Harry's pouch with wandless precision. The artifact floated into Vesper's metallic grasp, and the instant his runic fingers closed around it, the mundane silver began to burn with an infernal, abyssal crimson light. Vesper began to chant in a guttural, forgotten dialect, his dual-core wand emitting sparks of black fire that danced across the floor. Harry immediately raised his wand, casting a powerful stupefy, but the spell shattered uselessly against an invisible, jagged barrier of red energy that erupted from the awakening serpent. Vesper's mechanical eye whirred and focused on Harry, gleaming with fanatical madness as the walls of the Ministry began to groan and buckle under the sudden, immense magical pressure. The fundamental laws of space and gravity began to unravel within the artifact vault as Vesper's dark incantation reached its crescendo. The solid stone floor cracked and splintered, chunks of masonry tearing themselves free and floating upward into a rapidly expanding vortex of pure pitch-black void energy. The silver serpentine. Vesper's hand acted as a dimensional key, tearing open a violent spatial rift that connected the Ministry directly to the chaotic, unmapped realm known as the Founders' Crucible. A terrifying gale of screaming wind pulled everything toward the tier, ripping the heavy runic doors off their hinges and sucking them into the abyss. Harry dug the heels of his heavy leather boots into the fracturing tiles, casting an arresto momentum on himself, but the gravitational pull of the rift was overwhelming, defying modern spellcraft. Vesper laughed, a metallic, grating sound that echoed over the roaring wind, before he stepped willingly into the void, allowing the darkness to consume him. With a final, catastrophic crack of displaced air, the floor beneath Harry completely gave way, plunging the Auror head first into the swirling, violent maelstrom of raw, chaotic magic. Harry plummeted through a terrifying tunnel of distorted reality, his senses assaulted by flashes of ancient memories and roaring sounds of forgotten magical wars. He landed heavily, his enchanted mail absorbing the brunt of the impact, on a massive floating island of ruined architecture suspended in an endless starlit void. This was the Crucible, a hidden dimensional pocket where the raw, untamed magic of the world's first wizards pooled and stagnated. Above him, suspended in the cosmic ether, floated Lord Vesper, but the rogue unspeakable was no longer entirely human. The silver serpent had fused directly into his chest plate, its metallic mass spreading across his body like a parasitic infection, coating his limbs in jagged, draconic silver scales. Huge, spectral wings of dark red energy erupted from his back, and his wand had elongated into a terrifying spear of concentrated abyssal magic. Vesper looked down at Harry with eyes that burned like dying stars, declaring himself the true heir to the ancient magic destined to scour the modern wizarding world clean of its weakness. With a deafening shriek that tore through the cosmic silence, Vesper drove his abyssal spear downward, unleashing a torrent of blood-red lightning that fractured the very air it passed through. Harry rolled desperately to the side, feeling the intense, blistering heat of the blast as it instantly vaporized the stone where he had been standing seconds before. Pushing his reflexes to their absolute limit, Harry apparated across the floating arena in rapid, staccato bursts, materializing and dematerializing to avoid the relentless bombardment of explosive dark magic. From a flanking position, Harry retaliated, his wand a blur of motion as he sent chain lightning and concentrated piercing hexes hurtling toward the hovering monstrous sorcerer. Vesper merely swept his spectral wings, the dark red energy effortlessly batting aside Harry's spells like irritating insects, a cruel smirk visible beneath his metallic facial plating. The sheer disparity in their magical reserves was staggering. Vesper was drawing directly from the ambient primordial energy of the Crucible, making him virtually a god within this pocket dimension. Harry realized with grim certainty that standard aura tactics and conventional dueling spells were entirely useless against an opponent bound to the raw source of ancient wizardry. Refusing to be outmaneuvered, Vesper slammed his spear into the surface of the floating arena, sending a shockwave of crimson runes crawling across the ancient, fractured masonry. The stones violently ripped themselves apart and rapidly reassembled, infused with void energy to form towering, grotesque elemental golems shaped like jagged gargoyles. These massive constructs roared with grinding, rocky voices and lunged at Harry with terrifying speed, their heavy stone fists glowing with necrotic magic. Surrounded and outgunned, Harry tapped into the deep, intuitive magic of transfiguration, sweeping his wand in a wide, elegant arc that left a trail of brilliant golden light. The air shimmered, and the solid stone of the lunging golems was instantly transfigured into a massive wave of harmless, crystalline sand that cascaded harmlessly over him. Before Harry could catch his breath, however, Vesper used the distraction to close the distance, crashing into Harry with the force of a meteor. A gauntleted hand, heavy with draconic scales, grabbed Harry by the throat and slammed him brutally into the remnants of an ancient archway, pinning him in place. Pain exploded through Harry's back as the stone archway cracked under the impact, Vesper's abyssal red eyes glaring into his own with burning, toxic hatred. The rogue unspeakable raised his spear, the dark energy coalescing at the tip for a point-blank execution, gloating about the inevitable fall of the fragile, modern magical society. As the dark magic bore down on him, Harry closed his eyes, ignoring the searing pain, and reached deep into his soul, searching for the ancient warmth he had invoked in the catacombs beneath the lake. He remembered the courage of the Founders, the unyielding spirit of protection that defined true Gryffindor magic, and channeled every ounce of his willpower into his empty, open left hand. A blinding pulse of silver and ruby light erupted from the cosmic ether, answering the call of a true champion in his darkest hour. With a sound like a ringing bell that shattered Vesper's dark incantation, the legendary sword of Gryffindor materialized directly into Harry's grasp, its blade already blazing with a fiercely protective golden flame. Harry swung the legendary blade in a desperate upward arc, the goblin-wrought silver effortlessly cleaving through the shaft of Vesper's abyssal spear and forcing the monstrous sorcerer to stagger backward. The destruction of his weapon sent Vesper into a blind, frenzied rage, his spectral wings flaring massively as he unleashed a chaotic storm of pure, unfocused void magic from his hands. Harry did not retreat. Instead, he stepped forward, the blazing sword of Gryffindor in his left hand and his wand firmly in his right, seamlessly blending ancient melee combat with modern spellcasting. Every time Vesper hurled a wave of deadly crimson force, Harry parried it with the glowing sword, the goblin silver absorbing and nullifying the dark energy. Upon impact, Harry closed the distance with blinding speed, a golden aura enveloping his battle robes, matching Vesper blow for blow in a titanic clash that shook the floating island to its core. The rogue sorcerer's metallic claws sparked violently against the enchanted blade, creating blinding flashes of red and gold that illuminated the endless starry void around them. Harry's wand spat precise, non-verbal stunning spells directly into Vesper's exposed joints, slowing the massive draconic entity down just enough to create an opening in his impenetrable guard. This was not just a duel. It was a battle of opposing eras, the unyielding courage of the present striking back against the destructive obsession with the past. Seeing the briefest hesitation in Vesper's onslaught, Harry channeled the entirety of his golden Patronus magic not through his wand, but directly into the hilt of the legendary sword. The rubies on the pommel flared with the intensity of a dying sun as Harry lunged under Vesper's sweeping metallic arm, thrusting the blade forward. With all his might, the sword of Gryffindor struck true, piercing the very center of Vesper's glowing chest plate and burying itself deep into the fused silver serpent emblem that anchored the ancient magic. A shockwave of pure, silent force rippled outward as the blade destroyed the relic's core, halting Vesper mid-strike, his abyssal red eyes widening in shock and agony. The draconic silver scales coating his body began to rapidly crack and disintegrate into glowing ash, the spectral wings collapsing as the corrupted connection to the crucible was violently severed. Vesper let out a hollow metallic scream as the dark magic inside him violently detonated, creating a massive implosion that began to suck the surrounding floating ruins into a singularity. Harry immediately ripped the sword free and cast a desperate, overpowered apparition spell, aiming for the fading spatial rift just as the floating arena collapsed into the void behind him. Harry slammed painfully onto the hard, familiar tiles of the Department of Mysteries, skidding across the fractured floor just as the dimensional tier sealed shut with a thunderous clap above him. He lay there for a long moment, chest heaving, his battle robes scorched and torn, surrounded by the eerie, flickering blue light of the Ministry's emergency wards. The legendary sword in his hand hummed softly for a few seconds before slowly dissolving back into the ether, returning to its ancient slumber until it was needed again. Slowly, Harry pushed himself up to a sitting position, wiping a mixture of soot and blood from his forehead, his lightning bolt scar pulsing. With a dull, fading ache, where Lord Vesper and the Silver Serpent had been, there was only a scorch mark burned deep into the stone floor, a permanent scar on the Ministry's most secure vault. As horrors and unspeakables finally burst through the shattered doorway, wands drawn and eyes wide with shock at the devastation, Harry took a deep, steadying breath. The vault was secure and the serpent was truly destroyed, but the battle proved that the darkest secrets of the Founders were still out there, and Harry knew the true war had only just begun. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this story. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and until next time, stay super.